Hello, world. This is America's Supermom, and this is a special edition that I call the Corona Chronicles. During this time, we are suffering from a pandemic that is affecting everyone across the world. We are joined with the rules and regulations of being shelter in place, which means we are limited with the ability to go about our daily business, confined to our homes based on a coronavirus that has been sweeping the entire world. For some people, the effects could be mild. For others, it can be fatal. So we are coming together as a community, as a family during this time of difficulty to share what it is like in our part of the world, how we are affected, and the things that we have in common, what kind of problems that are taking place in our industries and in our relationships and finances, and coming together so that we can plan for a better tomorrow. As this epidemic or pandemic crosses the world, we are waiting for relief. We're waiting for the virus to die off and for us to go back to some state of normalcy, whatever that may be, after things kind of settle down. So, what is that going to look like once the dust settles? How are things going to be different? So, as we go through this process, we're coming together as a world to create ideas, strategies, connect in ways that we have never connected before. So, that is the purpose of the special podcast that I call the Corona Chronicles, so that we can get some insight and have empathy and compassion on one another, create new innovative ideas that can not only improve our life, but our fellow brothers and sisters across the world. Thank you so much for joining us. So, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I'm really excited about my next guest. Ryan is here, and he is going to be sharing some of his words of wisdom and insight. I'm really excited about this conversation. We've been connected for some time through Facebook and different groups, and this is our first time having a conversation. So I'm excited to hear his wealth of wisdom and any insight that he could give us during this time. So, Ryan, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Lachelle. Thank you. Appreciate the invite to help you out with your podcast and add some value to your listeners.
Awesome. So give us a little history. Let us know a little bit about, how you got where you are today, and we'll start there.
Sure. Well, I am sitting here on a cloudy day in my office at home
Mhm.
in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
I have been in San Antonio since '96.
Mhm.
Born and raised up in the Midwest in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where I say, our folks gave my brother and I some good roots, but also some big wings. So I
Mm.
had the opportunity through a master's degree program back in '96 to do an internship wherever I could line that up, and I took that as my opportunity to get out of the cold north and been down here. Blessed to be down here in San Antonio, like I said, since going on golly, 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
Seems like it was
Yeah.
just yesterday.
Mhm.
And I have a disability that your listeners might not be aware of since they can't
Mm.
see me. So
Mhm.
I did want to let them know of that. That
Mhm.
probably be part of our conversation.
Mhm.
And educationally, I have the master's that I mentioned, which is in rehabilitation counseling. And
Mhm.
I obtained a second master's about 15 years ago in social work. So a lot of my work,
Wow.
personally and professionally, has been helping individuals with and without disabilities navigate social services, mental health,
Mhm.
and I've expanded that. Doing some public speaking and things here and there, and
Mm.
as well as kind of the coaching that goes along with some with the expand being an expansion of the counseling that I've done for years.
I see. So I'm really intrigued about, this whole premise of having a disability, but using that as opportunity to connect with people. So, you do disability advocacy, correct?
I do, I do.
Okay, so talk to us about how, because when we're dealing with some of the things that have us in a space to where we feel like we are not the same, how did you pivot from using this disability as a way to connect and help others and not kind of isolate yourself of feeling like you're different? Does that question make sense?
Absolutely. I think a couple of points that I can make mention of. Certainly,
Mhm.
my faith in my parents and my upbringing, like I mentioned, those roots.
Mhm.
Definitely, I had the opportunities that my younger brother had growing up. Minus with what my abilities could allow me to do, and my
Mhm.
folks, gave me those opportunities and instilled in me that hey, despite having a physical condition that makes it a little different for you to get around
Mhm.
in some
Mhm.
things, I can pursue my interests, my loves, my joys, just as much as anybody else. And so having
Mhm.
uh, good mentors, I remember
Mhm.
learning to count to 20 in elementary school with the help of my elementary school principal, who would take me, ahead of the class the teacher had, helping
Mm.
that teacher out with getting me down stairs to the gymnasium and things, and he
Mm.
we'd count the steps in Spanish, and
Wow.
he was an early mentor in that regard, and just kind of talking about lifelong learning and those
Mhm.
sorts of things. My dad was involved in Toastmasters, and years later, here as an adult, I got involved in Toastmasters down here at our University of Texas Health Science Center, where I had worked for about 4 years as a mental
Mhm.
health therapist, and have spoken on, and just had the opportunity personally. I was a shy kid growing up and kind of introverted. And
Mhm.
I think in college, I learned through getting involved with the Disability Students Center that, hey, I had to step out there. I'm going to be a visible presence on campus. And I started
Mhm.
to get involved in helping kind of increase the awareness of the disability culture and advocating for things that maybe some of the other students with disabilities needed, but they didn't know how to go
Mhm.
about asking for that. And going in, I think that led me to, go into social work and counseling. And social work's a field where we are an advocate for our consumers, our clients, and
Mhm.
seeing, what, uh, you know, I started to kind of transition from, gee, I thoughts of I want to get out of this awful situation to, what can I do as a person with and without a
Mm.
disability, but certainly as a person with a
Mhm.
disability, to make this easier for somebody else. And uh,
Mm.
that was really, I think, a great mind shift. And I try and instill that in my wife
Mhm.
and friends as well,
Mhm.
to realize, hey, it's not about me, it's not about us,
Mhm.
it's about that person who we can help that might come after us. Do
Mm.
we want them to go through the challenges and the barriers and the obstacles that we had to go through?
Mhm.
Yeah, and hopefully that that's a no. And so,
Mhm.
bring it full circle to today. We're all socially isolated. You and I are doing this
Mhm.
podcast. However many hundreds
Mhm.
or thousands of miles away. Technology is great just to keep that social connection. But with
Mhm.
this coronavirus, it's just been an opportunity to network and use my social work skills and counseling skills to, one, use the counseling skills to help friends that might be struggling, with
Mhm.
thoughts of suicide or depression or anxiety about not being able to get out and do what they normally did, and empowering them to do what they
Mhm.
can do with the social distancing and those sorts of things.
Mhm.
Using my general social work skills again to advocate and affirmative action advisory committee member on the city committee, and we've developed a personal and professional
Mm.
relationship, and he is now our mayor. So when all this coronavirus stuff started, I could hop on text message or Facebook Messenger and say, hey, Mr. Mayor, um, here's what I'm seeing, here's where we need help. Um, just simple things as far as
Mm.
getting to the grocery store, how to safely do that. Here's a need that I see that the local store set up, local HEB set up a line to help seniors. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, what about us people with disabilities, the younger crowd that you know might need that same sort of assistance? And so out of that, kind of came talking to some neighbors and networking, and we have a couple of neighbors and folks I've seen on Facebook now who are helping
Mhm.
myself and my wife and some of our friends uh, get to this, not necessarily get to the store, but
Mm.
say, hey, what do you need help with? Is it the toilet paper everybody's after? Is it just food? Here, we'll give us your list,
Awesome.
and we'll go and we'll get that for you, and pay us what you can pay us, and don't worry about it. So um,
Mhm.
little advocacy things like that. And there's a great organization here in San Antonio, several great organizations here in San Antonio, but one focus on
Mhm.
disability advocacy. It's Disability SA, and I'm involved in a committee there, a little planning group there, where we're looking at doing training as far as individuals with disabilities and giving them the
Mhm.
skills that they need to advocate for themselves that they
Mhm.
might not have gotten
I love
growing
that.
up with
So
their
good.
parents.
Now, so for somebody who is listening and, right now our disability could be the
Mm-hmm.
mindset, because of the things that we're used to having, we can't have the way
Yeah.
we were used to having them. So for
Mm-hmm.
us to make that shift, it's hard for
Mm-hmm.
us to get out of that place. So what is different in your mind with an advocate as opposed to a coach?
Mm-hmm.
Because we've got, or mentor, so explain to everybody, because for
Mm-hmm.
somebody who is trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out, is
Yeah.
this what I'm supposed to be doing, being an advocate, what would be the difference?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. That's good, Lachelle. I haven't really thought of that as far as one of the things that we're researching is kind of the difference between
Mm.
an advocate, an activist, and I think just to parallel those a little bit, an activist I think is a person that kind of shouts and screams and raises awareness that hey, this is something that's going on that shouldn't be, and I think an advocate really takes it kind of that next step and puts some plan and some action
Mm.
into real solutions and
Mhm.
change agent as you will. And I think that's where talking about a coach and a mentor can come along too and say, hey, Susie, hey, Joe, I'm here. Kind of
Mhm.
walked where you've walked. I've been where you've been, and I can help you. I can come alongside you as a coach, as a mentor, and help you through that change, that those steps that you need to take
Mm.
where
I
you
love
are
that.
to where you want to go.
Mhm. Yeah. So
So that's how I
because,
tie all
like
that
I said,
together
sometimes
for you.
we throw terms around and people are like, "Yeah, that's what I am," and then it makes a difference in the moment exactly.
Hmm.
Because to me,
It
a
does.
advocate is more global, so to speak, in terms of they're looking more of a larger group, whereas somebody who coaches or
Hmm.
mentors is like individual. Even though you do have, group coaching, but it's that individual as
Hmm.
opposed to the number.
Yeah.
So this is great. Now,
Hmm.
so what kind of things do you
Yep.
do
Yeah.
to keep a positive mindset? Because for a lot of people, who
Mhm.
don't even have a disability, the whole thing about transitioning and thinking
Mhm.
about a new world different than what you've been used to, how do you prepare yourself? What are some tips that
Mhm.
you may do in your daily routine that helps you be flexible to embrace change?
Sure. Yeah, it'd be great if we all
Mhm.
had a crystal ball and could, predict change. But change is inevitable, and I think it happens
Mhm.
gradually.
Mhm.
Every day we're
Mhm.
going through change constantly. That's that constant. And so I think one thing that's been helpful for me, and I've gone through some personal things with my health and with some things that my wife and I had gone through some,
Mm.
we've gone through an apartment fire,
Wow.
some water damage, and then a few years after that, we had some issues
Mm.
with the pipes again where we were living at the time, and didn't have a water damage, but I kind of say a little
Mhm.
earth damage, a little tree root got in the line again, looking for water on a hot San Antonio day. But going through all of those and everything else that we've done, and relating that to the coronavirus pandemic that we're all going through now, biggest thing that I can say is that's been important to me and that I try and relate is
Mm.
keeping routine, and doing those specific things like I think you were mentioning. And so,
Mhm.
getting up in the morning, going through that same routine. This morning here,
Mhm.
as we're recording this, it's around noon my time. So this morning, got up around 8 o'clock as I normally do, and um, I go into prayers, the
Mhm.
silent time, the meditation. I've got some, um, things that I do there, and then I shift into maybe a little
Mhm.
reading or just positive mental attitude type things that
Mhm.
keep me focused on the positive stuff. And way, way, way end of the day, um, you know, 6 o'clock after, maybe 10 o'clock after, I've had my day, that's when if I haven't heard about any updates or whatnot, that's when I
Mm.
kind of, okay, let me turn on the news,
Mhm.
look at some of that negative stuff that's there, and then again, at the kind of bookend my day with again
Mm.
some prayer and some positive reading, positive things that I can drift off to sleep with and focus on rather than some of the negative stuff. So, routine, I think, after the fire
Mhm.
that I mentioned that we had in our apartment, it happened right after we got married, and we were on our
Wow.
honeymoon and came back to that. And so I was going to be off for another week and
Mhm.
a half just so we could
Mhm.
enjoy ourselves and new married life. And here we're having to figure out with the
Mhm.
apartment if they can move us to another one. And you're in survival
Mhm.
mode. A lot of like what we've seen with the coronavirus. And I think the biggest thing for me was, hey, let me do those things that I normally would do
Mhm.
on a normal Thursday, a normal Friday,
Mhm.
to the best of my ability, and obviously taking care of
Mhm.
our most immediate needs. And so part of that's just getting back into that
Mhm.
regular routine and rhythm with the parameters that, of course, now with the coronavirus, that were being placed on us by
Mhm.
city, county, state, national officials. And so, um, not cutting ourselves off and hibernating in
Mhm.
our homes, but we can still here in San Antonio get out, get some fresh air. Now I saw something this morning on Facebook or email where they've closed all
Mhm.
the city and county parks ahead of Easter. A big thing down here in San Antonio is folks
Ah.
camping out over the Easter weekend, enjoying the parks and their little space. Um, I'm sure
Mhm.
there's similar traditions and things other places in the country and around the world. But just being able to
Mhm.
still get out and enjoy the fresh air, even if, okay, we can't do it in a park, but we can maybe, my wife and I can go
Mhm.
walk around the block and, keep the social distancing
Mhm.
and those sorts of things. So just that creates that sense of normalcy, that sense of routine, that sense that, hey, we can still do
Mhm.
this, we will get through this.
Yeah.
And history has shown, that
Mhm.
we can
I
get through
love that. So,
things.
and I love the way that it's about being proactive and creating that routine for ourselves. So, when it comes to reading, what are some books that you could
Yes.
recommend to
Hmm.
some of the listeners? Mhm.
Sure. Boy, a lot of good ones out there that I've read over the years. Just because of who I am and kind of having one of my nicknames.
Mhm.
I forget if I mentioned this to you, Lachelle.
Okay.
Family nicknames
Mhm.
Flip, which comes from my last name, Pflipsen. But Rhino is another one that when I moved down here, a guy that I was involved in the multi-level
Mhm.
marketing got involved with. Um, he
Mhm.
coined the nickname Rhino, and so I created this acronym, remembering
Mm.
Him and nurturing others. You know, Him being
Mhm.
God or higher power, whatever we call Him, and I think that just is a reminder for me to nurture others, nurture help others, and so yeah, recommending books or helping in any way that I can. And some of those books that have been where I was going with that is been more kind of faith based recently, but they're obviously good positive mental attitude type books out there. I think of
Mhm.
the Dale Carnegie type books, How to
Mhm.
Win Friends and Influence People. I like a lot by recently by a
Mhm.
guy named Brendan Burchard. Um, he has some good ones out there um, that
Mhm.
I'm blanking on right now. Um, and any of
Okay.
those Tony Robbins type, the big
Mhm.
the Jack Canfields. Um, uh, I try from a positive mental
Oh
attitude.
yes.
Zig Ziglar, he's another one. Read
Mhm.
those type of books, and then that's in talking
Mhm.
about attitude. That's where I think a lot of, and it's certainly the
Mhm.
Bible, coming back to that faith that I have, really kind of help and just gets things going for me as far as having that positive attitude to then
Mhm.
believe in myself, to lead
Mhm.
myself first and foremost, and then empower others to do the same for themselves. And that I just kind of briefly ran through another
Okay.
acronym I have,
Okay.
ABLE, ABLE, attitude, belief,
I
leadership,
love that.
and empower.
I'm an acronym
Um,
person.
hmm uh, love acronyms and I love people. It's being a medical social worker
mhm.
before I was a clinical social worker and being in hospitals. You hear doctors and medical school students, they
Mhm.
learn best with acronyms, and I love those and analogies and things myself. It just I
Mhm.
think adds a lot to conversation and helps folks so much because you can
Mhm.
remember and pull
I
from
love that. Now,
so
so
much
what
easier.
advice would you give somebody
Hmm.
listening who, is in that space of just thinking, they don't know what to do next, and it may not be again
Hmm.
a physical
Hmm.
disability, but it could be mindset, it could be
Hmm.
financial, but we have an
Hmm.
opportunity to share
Hmm.
something encouraging to them. What would that be for you?
Hmm. That would be that,
Mhm.
you can do it. If I can do it with a disability, and there are days where I feel that I don't, it's just taking that
Mhm.
first step, that next step, and getting around people, getting
Mhm.
around a supportive group, getting whether that's in person or like we've been talking, some of the Facebook groups and things that
Mhm.
you and I have belonged to, and there's help out there. And for folks that are so, um, I'll take it a step further with my mental health background,
Mhm.
so catastrophized or so paralyzed with, what's going to
Mhm.
happen with the coronavirus and things, there are the availability of you to call
Mhm.
or even text
Mhm.
to get mental health
Mhm.
crisis services. So, if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever, uh, I'm not going to make it, I'm having those negative thoughts
Mhm.
about harming myself, definitely seek the professional help that myself as a clinical social worker, mental health professional,
Mm-hmm.
uh, can help with. In addition to then, getting a
Mm-hmm.
coach, getting a mentor to help kind of get you forward and focused forward
Mm-hmm.
on what you want to do, what what you see
Mm-hmm.
for yourself, and where you want to go
Mm-hmm.
personally,
I love
professionally,
that. And
business,
I
etc.
love the element that they're not alone. So many people, when they're in this space, I suffer from that
Absolutely.
myself with
Mhm.
my depression. It was like, I had this
Mhm.
mask
Mhm.
on because
Mhm.
nobody is going through what I'm going through, and I'm alone, and something's wrong with me. But just
Mhm.
to impress upon people that, this
Yeah.
is a phase, and, depending on who we're around in
Mhm.
our environment and making certain choices, we can change that. So I love that. Very uplifting.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, what is the best
Mhm.
way for
Yeah.
someone to get a hold of you?
Sure. Best way to get a hold of me probably would be just,
Mhm.
feel free to call me directly. I
Mhm.
usually have my cell phone on me. If I can't
Mhm.
pick up, feel free to leave a message. It's got my
Mhm.
given name on it. I believe it's Ryan Pflipsen, but they can just say that hey, they heard
Mhm.
me on your podcast, Lachelle, and wanted to reach out. And that number is area
Mhm.
code 210
Mhm.
324 thirty-eight
Awesome.
69. And, they can look for Ryan Pflipsen
Mhm.
or Pflipsen. Last name
Mhm.
and Flip are with a P, so PFLIP,
Mhm.
PFLIPSEN, or Ryan Pflipsen, and just reach out to me on
Mhm.
Facebook. That's probably the easier way. My email tends to get inundated
I
with
feel you.
about 100 emails a day, so I'd hate for somebody to reach out
Yes.
that way
I
and it gets
appreciate
lost
that.
in the shuffle. But yeah, just a phone call, a
Mhm.
text, or a Facebook message,
Awesome.
messenger message. It's perfectly fine and happy to help in
Awesome.
any
Well,
way
thank
I
you so
can.
much, and it was so good having this conversation with you. I enjoyed it, and I
Absolutely.
look.
Absolutely,
Yes,
Lachelle. Long
definitely.
overdue.
Well, I look forward to more collaborations in the future, okay?
Absolutely. And if there's anything I can ever do
All
for you
right.
again,
Well,
just
you have a
just
great
holler.
afternoon, and give my best to your wife also, okay? All right.
I
You have a
sure
good
will.
one.
Thanks, Lachelle.
Bear with me, guys, on some of these endings to these podcasts. I don't know. Now I'm wondering what Anchor's got going on because it kind of messes up where it's like we're talking over each other, but we're really not. But I really enjoyed this interview with Ryan. It was very uplifting because it really showed how we have an opportunity to make an impact in the lives of others. If we can focus on what value we can give to people, whether it's our own experience of what we've done and overcome, or just being a voice for those who may not be able to speak up for themselves in terms of being an advocate. So I really just enjoyed this um, interview, and I really challenge everybody to kind of reflect on ways that you could advocate for people, during this time, even if it's just your kids or other family members, their friends. Just taking that time to recognize that we all sometimes need a listening ear or somebody who could speak up if we're feeling a little overwhelmed. So, if you are interested in being a guest and sharing your input, please feel free to email me at info@lachelleatkins.com. You can also reach out through Facebook Messenger, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, and I do have a YouTube channel. So I want to thank you guys for listening. I encourage you to share these podcasts. If they resonate with you, there's something that you feel that a lot of people can benefit from, please share it. It doesn't cost anything to share it. And this insight is really what we are working as a tribe to collectively serve our community, our neighborhoods, and our whole entire world. We want to be able to encourage people to know that there is life beyond this pandemic. So I want to thank you all for listening. Have a wonderful day.